The next life I was born to a woman named Xer. My childhood was uneventful until I bugged my client by pressing the H key on head 2. This is the only instance I have had this happen. But I also do not open the menu often. While in the menu I notice an interesting option. Press J to search. Well, that is just broken. Let's abuse it. After a moment of fiddling with the controls I turn it off and back on again. Restarting my client I reboot fine. After a few years I was back at Goomba Gardens. Now at this time my friends in Discord had told me about the different races having different traits. Jason having coded racism into the game. Now only the Hispanic sprites can operate in the jungle. The gingers in the snow and blacks in the desert. But let's be honest, this does not add to the game. Only subtract, and the gingers in the snow, what is up with that? Last time I checked very few Eskimos are redheads. But who am I to go on long tangents? And how many Eskimos do you know Telafiesta? I am going to get back on track. But even as I write the script I am thinking to myself. There is no way I do not bring this up again. But with my new Hispanic powers I went to work in the jungle. I gathered mango saplings and attempt to plant them up north near my pen. I find out that I cannot grow them out of their environment. This I like. Good job, Jason, that makes sense. You cannot grow mangoes just anywhere. This update takes away content but adds the opportunity to build around it. For example, now he can add a greenhouse one day. And it would fit the theme, not break the game. And give him room to grow while still remaining accurate to reality. This is a good change. I set to work moving my mango trees to the jungle. That is when I give birth to my first child. At this point I was getting lazy with names. I named this one Winter. A grandson from a previous life asked me for milkweed. So I take him to my plot. Then I have my second child, little Autumn Berry. Soon after Autumn grow to the age of 3. A little redhead child run up to me screaming in her foreign tongue. I soon realize her excitement was caused by a bear. Worse yet, our hunter had just been mauled by the beast. I act fast to lure the bear from the bow. And then grab arrows I have stored for situations like this. In no time I had tracked the beast to a mountain pass. It was already wounded, so its death was quick. I dispatch a few more animals, having used the tool slot on the bow, so why not? Then carve the bear hide and bring it back home, so that the children need not worry about its return. Later in life I give birth to a boy. This one I named Mason and made 2 wolf hats, one for each of us. My next son I named Lydell Berry. Lydell Berry was a lag monster. But said he would protect us from invaders. Thank you, baby, but Mama Telafiesta does not need your protection. The combat mechanics having been nerfed into the ground. But I appreciate the thought, but if he wants to protect the farms, more power to him. Later in life I went out to the rabbit trapping lands with a backpack full of bait pouches. I was wondering if this helped make trapping rabbits less tedious. The improvement not noticeably different. The job now quite tedious and the job no longer as satisfying. Like when milkweed got nerfed. And now a year later you hardly ever see a massive milkweed garden. Now I will make a prediction, rabbits will feel like milkweed. The effort of collecting not feel worth the work. So it will rarely happen, but this probably Jason's intention. For just like you do not sew many clothes with milkweed string, you do not see many people wearing fur clothes today. Milkweed and rabbits obviously placeholders for thread and wool clothes. Though I do not like this update. I understand why Jason did it. This life I died near the bakery, where the family was preparing to bake a large cook-off. The next life I was born to a woman named Mila. I was a boy and my mother named me Markale. I soon heard the bell and knew I was within running distance of Goomba Gardens. I was soon 3 and able to make my own decisions. I soon legged up to Goomba Gardens. On the way I met a relative named Anne. She was gathering loot in the common land. I begged to see her haul and she gave me some pants. I told her about Goomba Gardens and continued on my way. Before long I was in Pleb City and looting corpses. After grabbing gear I was in Goomba Gardens, fixing the now not so massive milkweed garden. Later in life I met Coco and her daughter Journey. I welcomed them to Goomba Gardens. They looked like they looking for a place to settle. I soon realized that we were lacking water. And I was just welcoming people to stay. I inspect the new pump, it seeming to be not functional. It now needing a rubber tire to work, it apparently having broken. This was also new to me, having taken a 2 or 3 month break to the game. At the time the update did not bother me much. Things break on a massive scale like pumps and such in real life and people fix them. At the moment I was not unimpressed with this update. But you wait, I will let it out later, I promise. I was ginger and could not make rubber. So I first attempt to alleviate the problem by raiding some local ponds for water. But after one trip there was no way I was doing that again. So instead I head to Pleb City and master the art of the diesel pump and loot some water from the city center. It was during this trip I noticed someone had started a crooked road leading to Goomba Gardens. This would not do. I had a plan for the road. So I quickly set to finishing work on the road to Goomba Gardens. I took many trips into the waste in search for flat rocks. And after some time my life was soon nearly over. But I had finished the main road. The next life I was born immediately in Pleb City. There seemed to be a scuffle currently taking place. I moved to get a better look. A queen had been stabbed by Santa in a wolf hat. Next thing I know it, I'm lagging and I restart my client. I'm soon back and being cared for by my mother. I am given gear and then head to Goomba Gardens. On my way into the gardens I touched up the milkweed a little. And then continued to the square, where I find Trasha and Jana. Trasha was not well and soon died. That is when I noticed someone had closed an entrance to the bakery. I knew it would be a matter of time before someone tried to close and insulate the build. I needed the second building for AFKing and role-playing. After fixing the wall I returned to my milkweed garden. At the age of 10 I notice a man. His name was Gregory and he was acting weird. But he was not worth the time of Telafiesta. Before long I hear the cry of a murder victim coming from the sheep pen. Gregory had stabbed poor Jana. Gregory had now made himself worth the time of Telafiesta. I grab a bow and arrow. Then punish Gregory for his crimes. I return proudly to Goomba Gardens. But Wolf assumed the worst and chased me for the death of his brother. I soon outmaneuver Wolf and he was no longer chasing me. But I also was not comfortable living this life inside town. The house would have to wait. I was living on the edge of town working the skewer and milkweed garden. And at the age of 18 I give birth to my first keeper. I tried to name her Luffy but it auto-changed to Luggerda. At the age of 33 I had Max. While running through town with Max I gave birth to Millie. Max was jealous of the better baby Millie. So he slashed I. When Millie was 3 I dropped her off in the square, like I had done with Luggerda. That is when I give birth again, this time a boy. I named him Tillman and raised him till he was 3. Later in life I was at Pleb City filling 2 buckets with water, when this happened. Server crashed. After a quick Eve life, none of my babies having survived. I spawned back in as a girl to a woman named Hazel. She lived on the road somewhere out in the scrub lands. While on the way to the bell I spot some clothes. I kill my mother for these clothes. My baby legs pumped and I legged it to town. I was demanding handouts from strangers. Within an hour of the crash all of the berries in Pleb City had died. I soon realized it best I moved to the AFK hut if I wish to be fed. First things first, I pick up the clothes I kill mama for. It just a ghost outfit but I did kill my mother for it so I wear it. It a fitting reminder of her. I then jack some girls' pies trading them for a sheepskin. And make my way back to Goomba Gardens. When I return home, the place was still in mostly good order. After touching up the garden a little I did some composting. At the age of 17 I find a free baby on the side of the road. I adopt it and named it Lily. Lily died. I carved a few rocks, and added the second layer to the bell. Finally my tower base had been undisturbed for 10 hours, this another new update for me to enjoy. At 20 I had my first keeper, it was a boy that I named Troy. I was on mushrooms when I had Troy. I gave Troy my ghost costume that I killed my mother for. Troy reject my cursed clothing. Knowing it was my curse to bear. I put the sheets back on, soon Troy was a man and ready to fend for himself. My next keeper was a girl. I attempt again to name a girl Luffy. This auto-correcting to Luggerda. Luggerda accepted Mama's cursed costume. This life me and a kid named Awesome, powered through some composting. Around the time Luggerda grow old enough to fend for herself. I gave birth to 2 little boys. One I named Theo and the other Leo. Later a Sith killed some white boy named Alex. He requested aid from his dad Mom Tacoma. It was at this time I noticed the Mom-Dad Tacoma building a proper defense house. This would not do. Me and others in Discord had discussed making the AFK/storage room there. I attempt to reason with this player. And he seems on board. I tell him that I will bring him stones to help make this community structure. And this is where I messed up. I did not tear this thing down when I had the chance. The rest of this life was pretty uneventful. I collected some sulfur because this was my perk for being black. The ability to gather in the desert. I died doing this. My next life I was born back in Goomba Gardens. To a member in Discord. Meanwhile Tacoma was trying to gather a following. He gave me a name but could not feed me. So I preferred to be with my mother. I asked my friend to attempt negotiations with Tacoma. The first part of my life was mostly uneventful. I mostly farmed. I had my first child at the age of 15 while collecting kindling. I named her Wendy and soon after I had my first son who I named Copen. Something that I'm skipping a lot in all of these lives is a lot of carrot farming. I don't know when it happened but at some point we ended up with way too many carrot seeds. Later in life I collected enough resources to start building the outline of a building. And when I go to start work on permanent housing, I find a family has now cockroached into the house of sticks. Regardless, I start work on the plan. This causing a problem with the residents of the sticks. My mission greater than their role playing. I would not be deterred by their emotions. My building efforts were met with resistance. They sent out family members to plant bushes in my path. But they did not understand the situation in which they lived. The land they squat on belonged to the Empire. And the Empire had legal authority to confiscate or repurpose any and all tiles in the domain we claim. We did not live in a democracy. I plant milkweed to stop more bushes from growing. And a child in Discord was born on the inside trying to type things out. After negotiations the family was reassured they would not be sealed in. And the aggression stopped. I died this life working on this house. I would like to apologize for how long this video took to come out. The next and final part 3 should be up this week. For those of you who do not know, we also do animations here on Telafiesta. And we did a Christmas special. I spent weeks on something that was supposed to be a 10-minute video. But it's now online and 30 minutes long. I feel like the pacing is a little slow, but it is actually really funny and something I am very proud of. One more announcement.
Hey guys, part 3 will be narrated not with the robot voice but with my own dubbing. I'm probably going to use my normal voice. We had a comment. Paul wanted us to do this and it might be more fun. Not going to lie, I think it might be a positive improvement for the videos. So if you guys don't like it, if you guys demand the robot, let me know on part 3. I apologize if I make you mad. But hey, thanks again for watching. You guys are the best. Ah man, that's too bad. I saw you guys with Santa there and I thought, hey, this is Roger's Christmas.